After Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announced yesterday that he will not run for re-election, President Trump accused Walz of stealing taxpayer dollars. Him? Yeah. That must be how he gets all those fancy clothes. The only thing this man is stealing is the blue ribbon at the county fair.
Did he just call him a pig? Is that what happened there? He just called Tim Walz a hog? Got the his old bluebell over here? Comedy is not what it used to be since the Democrat Party murdered it. Gotta stand by for a little music now. And I should take off my jacket. What do you think? Take off my jacket? I found authority. Authority always wins. I was driving in today in Washington, D.C. I was passing an exclusive private school when I was blocked a little by a black Mercedes-Benz SUV coming out of the school, apparently dropping off a kid or multiple kids. And I saw the woman driving was clearly an illegal alien. How could you tell? Well, I looked at her, and then she almost crashed into me pulling out of the driveway. I could see this is like the slave labor drop-off lane. They have a separate lane. And there's a bumper sticker on the black Mercedes-Benz SUV. It says, "Please be patient, illegal alien driving." It says, "Please be patient, illegal alien driving." What is that? Maybe it's a new city rule or something like that. And she didn't crash into me, but she came close, got into the wrong lane, zipped along, and she was smiling, though. She seemed happy to be in America. I think probably happy to be in America, which is nice to see. It's more than you can say of Chuck Schumer and a whole lot of Democrats on Capitol Hill not happy to be in America, not on Team America at all. And if you haven't seen the movie Team America World Police, and really if you haven't seen it lately, it might be time to put Team America World Police back in the dock there because it's a lot of fun. Team America. So great, such great, so many wonderful things. What was the name of the play they put on? What was it? Lease. It was called Lease. Inside the movie, it was a mockery of Rent, and their big hit song was "Everyone Has AIDS." Everyone has AIDS. You got it. Your mom's got it. Your dad's got it. You got it. Everyone has AIDS. Pretty funny stuff. When they blow up Paris, blow up everything in Paris. Say, "You're welcome, Paris. We've come to." All right, now I've just gone off the rails over here. A very happy Wednesday to you once again, and welcome back. We continue to be reachable at 888-630-9625. We're right there. I see the lines are ringing already. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? And got a lot going on. Moving parts here in the studio. Fun stuff. But the Democrats are going crazy. They love Nicolas Maduro. They love dictators. I was thinking maybe they want to put Kilmore Abrego Garcia in charge of the country. The MS-13, wife beating, pregnant baby mama beating, human trafficker. The Democrats love him. They want to, which idiot senator was that went down and had a date? Yeah, it was Chris Van Hollen from right next door. Went down to El Salvador. And I think he pronounces it like that, too. So he could have something through an elbow straw with Kilmore Abrego Garcia. They could wink at each other. It was soft music coming from the corner and very demented. And they like him so much. Maybe if the Democrats suddenly took control again, like by force of arms, which may be next, they'd probably they'd have to look at putting Kilmore Abrego Garcia in charge. MS-13. Then there'd be a gang war there between MS-13 and of course, Tren de Aragua, who law enforcement now called TDA, because there are so many of them we had to abbreviate them. The Venezuelan gang. And the Democrats applaud the Venezuelan gang. They applaud MS-13. They applaud Kilmore Abrego Garcia and Nicolas Maduro. And they're not on our side. Boy, are these people not on our side. And then the president said something about taking 50 million barrels of oil from Venezuela. And the Democrats say, "See, it's war for oil, war for oil." Say, you guys, I got to tell you, man, oh man, it is not war for oil. It is war to change the trajectory of human history in the Western Hemisphere, and it is a shot across the bow of Bolivian marching powder. Anybody remember Bolivian marching powder? Raise your hand. That was a little fast. That was kind of a fast raise of the hand. The Bolivian marcha, that's cocaine, of course. And Colombia and Bolivia, they're very big in the cocaine business, bigger than anybody in the cocaine business. And the Democrats, and they're such. On my television show last night on Newsmax, there was a moment. There's a Democrat there, and that's not my I'm not in charge of that part, but it's like, well, oh, sure, you go in and take Maduro, but you leave alone Colombia and Bolivia, where all the cocaine is coming from, where it originates. I said, so wait a minute. In the same breath, you're furious that the international drug cartel chief and fake president, not president of Venezuela, is arrested, and immediately, and Trump did that, and that's too much. But since he did that, and now it's time to snatch and grab the presidents of Bolivia and Colombia and beyond. And this is the Democrat brain, if we can call it a brain. Just amazing stuff. Angry that you take their guy Maduro, who they love very much. They want their daughters to date him. It's a peculiar bunch of people. Like Luigi Mangione, they want their daughters to date Luigi, and their daughters want to date Luigi Mangione. And they may end up going to prison just to hang out with him because they're quite demented. These people, I'm telling you. Yeah, but at the same time, they can say, literally in the same breath, start a sentence and condemn you for grabbing Nicolas Maduro, and then condemn you for not grabbing the president next door and the entire regime. Well, what's her name? The Dipsy Doodle on network television. Say, oh, sure, you go and grab one dictatorial fake president, drug cartel leader, but you didn't get all of them in that country. And what about the country next door and the country next door to that? This is not how the human mind is supposed to work. But these people, can I just say, these people. The world is in a very interesting place right now. Many reports showing that Cuba, communist Cuba, who, you remember, Barack Obama loves communist Cuba. He loves Che Guevara and the Castro brothers. He loves communism. He was mentored, Barack Obama was, as a teenager, by a card-carrying member, a literal card-carrying member of the Communist Party. And Frank Marshall Davis was his name. And he trained to be a communist. And then all he did when he was supposed to be teaching law was apparently teaching rules for radicals by Saul Alinsky. And Hillary Clinton worked for Saul Alinsky. And they all love communism, and they hate America. They're just not on our side. Aren't they amazing? And how many illegal aliens are in the country today? What do you hear, James Carville? What do you hear, the Democrat? You know how many places he was from the Bill Clinton administration, of course. How many countries did Bill Clinton drop bombs on and use the U.S. military against? And wait till you hear this lunatic mental case. He's, what are they called? Smids? Smids, yeah, severely mentally ill Democrats. And we should extend that, do so what do they call them? A backronym. We should make them Smidleys or something. We can make them longer. These people are not on our side. And they're not, this is a war on common sense. It's a war on Western civilization and Western culture and American culture and beyond, because the Democrats, they're the left. They're not liberals. It's a completely different ball of wax. Boy, is it. But we've got lots of news to get to today. We've got Venezuela a go-go. It's the Venezuela a go-go. And Trump says Venezuela to give up 50 million barrels of oil to U.S. And then the White House explained immediately and in the same breath that the oil would be put on the open market and it will go to benefit Venezuela, not the United States of America. But the Trump White House is also saying, you guys need to get rid of the Chinese and the Russians in your country right now who are kind of running the show behind the curtain, and that'd be nice. And how about you stop hosting Hezbollah on arming and training and all this stuff with Hezbollah in Venezuela, in our backyard. And the Democrat Party shrugs because they're on the side of Hezbollah. They're really closer to Hezbollah than they are to Ronald Reagan, certainly. Oh, speaking of which, Ronald Reagan's adopted son, Michael Reagan, died yesterday, and I'll get back to that. If I were Jen Psaki, I'd circle back to that, but we'll get to that. So Trump says Venezuela to give up 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. Turns out that it's a lot of oil. It's 50 million barrels and all that, and I think a barrel's about 45 gallons or so. And so it's a good amount, but it's dirty oil and it has to be processed and all that. But we've got good processing facilities for dirty oil in Louisiana and in Texas and as I understand it, on the West Coast in California as well. But Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom has got some stuff today, too. They're all just mentally ill. Amazing stuff. Yeah, but it's going to benefit Venezuela. And the president is saying, more than 70% of Venezuela's oil goes to communist China, because the communists are in there up the yin-yang, because they're encircling the United States of America and Western civilization so that communism will dominate in the 21st century. And the Democrats are thinking, yeah, that could be good. That could be good. Did you see a poll out of the United Kingdom? A majority of Gen Z people, younger people, they're in favor of dictatorship. They're in the UK and a significant number in the United States, too, but the Democrats haven't gotten to enough of them yet. They're still working on it. Everybody should be in favor of dictatorship because communism is the future. And that's, Barack Obama used to, the arc of the future is leading toward totalitarianism. And Barack Hussein Obama is in favor of that from his $14 million oceanfront mansion in Martha's Vineyard. Or is he at his $30 million oceanfront mansion in Hawaii? I'm not sure. How does a multi-million-dollar house in Chicago? How does a $10 million house in Washington, D.C. off of Embassy Row? And Big Mike, his wife, is still being oppressed after 8 years in the White House, flying around on Air Force airliners. And boy, are they not on our side. Also, U.S. Energy Secretary in Florida today, right, to consult with the major oil companies on the way forward in Venezuela. And let's let them rejoin Western civilization. The world smells like it's stumbling into war, doesn't it? This is like pre-World War II times we're in. They're not on Team America, these people. And here's a great story from Fox News, how a socialist cell in the U.S. mobilized pro-Maduro foot soldiers within 12 hours. And we had some of this yesterday, but we had too much stuff yesterday, and I couldn't get to this. But the idiot Democrats out in the street, and hey, where did all these professionally printed signs come from? And why are the signs in L.A. matching the signs in Washington, D.C.? And it's because the Communist Party is behind organizing and creating the sign. It's what do they call them? The Socialist Workers Party of Liberation, Party of Socialism and Liberation, PSL, and they print the signs. And hey, they got print shops on the West Coast and print shops on the East Coast. And the Democrat Party, they're entirely in a lubricated bed with the Communist Party. The Democrat Party is worse than it's ever been. Well, at least since they launched the first American Civil War, so they could keep whipping their slaves. And I'll leave the rest of the details out there. But James Carville, Democrat, says that the U.S. would be ripe for invasion. They really want war. The left means war. James Carville of the Clinton administration, the raging lunatic, he says that the U.S. would be ripe for invasion if it were legal to overturn massively corrupt regime. Oh, like the Biden regime that used the FBI and the Justice Department against their political enemies and jailed their political enemies and him threw into jail and got mugshots of the President Trump, former president of the United States. They're trying to jail everybody. They're going to be building gulags the next time they get it. Within a week, that's going to be their big program. These people are they don't resemble the Democrat Party of America, even when Bill Clinton was president. And whether you hear this mental case, James Carville, with his insanity, yeah, God, a corrupt government. Well, can we talk about the Clinton administration? Can we talk about Hillary Clinton? Can we talk about the Biden administration and the abuses but never mind that. And we got Zoran. Don't mess with the Zoran Mamdani. Stands by the radical housing justice appointee, Sia Weaver, who is a complete communist. She'll steal everything. She won't do anything. She'll send armed men, brave men, toxic masculinity, to your house with guns to steal everything you have. They'll steal your house. That means they'll steal your car. They'll empty your bank account and steal everything there. And they want to discriminate based on race. And they're just completely out of the closet on it. They say, oh, yeah, if you're white, you're going to be punished. So I don't know if you know who we are, but we're going to shut down your electricity, all right? we built everything that you enjoy all day, every day. So why don't you take a stick and, man, oh, man. Ashley Babbitt update and a crazy Democrat. She deserved to be killed. Member of the House, not just some rando on the street. We got Tim Walz in Minnesota, fraud. They love stealing billions of dollars, and then they yell at you about it. We have apparently boarded a Russian-flagged oil tanker in the Atlantic Ocean, and it's not really a Russian ship. They're just picking a fight. So we got that. Update on the Brown University shooter who killed that professor as well at MIT. We've got a lot of news for you today, as you might expect. We are at 888-630-9625. And how much are we, the American taxpayers, having stolen from us every year in fraud? Because it is most definitely not limited to Minnesota. And now we've got one 23-year-old, at least, who's continuing to investigate, even if 60 Minutes and the New York Times are not. But how many hundreds of billions are stolen from us every year? This gangster nation that is the Democrat Party, the third worlding of America. I've got a bunch on that coming up, because somebody's got to talk about it. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. We're at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Michael calling from Leesburg, Virginia. Michael, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
So, Vice President Kamala Harris was in charge of eliminating the root causes of mass migration from South and Central America in the United States. And I believe the operation in Venezuela is a continuation of her agenda.
But actually doing something about it.
Yes. Well, doing more than just sending down COVID vaccines.
Right. And, and ridiculous demands that they wear masks and but come into the country and especially if you're gang members. But you're kind of mocking Kamala since she was made our border czar, and she did nothing that was, it should be Tsarina, shouldn't it? Because she doesn't have a male appendage, but it should be border Tsarina, because the Russians had women czars, they were Tsarinas, and the Democrat Party is the Russians at this point, really the Soviet Russians, though. But President Trump is doing things, and look, I got to say, Michael, that our government has been talking about this war on drugs since the 1980s at least, and this is the first time that the United States has gotten aggressive, and we're having tens of thousands of Americans die every year because of fatal drug overdoses, right? This year, we're going to have more fatal drug overdoses than we had Americans killed in the Vietnam War. Not in a year, but in the entire Vietnam War. And the Democrat Party shrugs, and they call you names and shout at you if you point out how dire a situation this is. Not on our side. How many hundreds of billions of dollars are being stolen by Somalis and other Democrats? That's kind of a big deal. I think that Elon Musk was talking about this, and he didn't. Elon Musk, who is personally worth $700 billion now. $700 billion. You know, I think girls like that. Do you think girls like that? I think girls like that. $700 billion. Which airliner would you like to take today, honey? To and that'd be pretty wild. I got to say, but he was saying that the fraud in Minnesota is, we will learn later, maybe $9 billion stolen by mostly Somalis. I think, what is it, 80-something% of the people convicted and 80-something% of the people arrested in these fraud schemes are Somalis who, not making Minnesota better. Hey, you know what would make Minnesota nice? If it were more like Mogadishu. That'd be it. I think that last night on the television show on Newsmax, I said this too, that the Democrats, if they could, they'd install Mohammed Farah Aidid as the governor of Minnesota now that Tim Walz is stepping down. And people are like, who's Mohammed Farah Aidid? Which is understandable. He was the head of the tribal clan during the Black Hawk Down incident in Mogadishu in Somalia. And the Democrat Party, they're closer to being Mohammed Farah Aidid than they are to being John F. Kennedy. They really, really are. And, when they find out that billions and billions of dollars are being stolen by, Mohammed Farah Aidid's guy, and they got all this tribal clan stuff. They call them clans. All this tribal clan stuff going on election day in Minnesota. And the Democrats visited that upon us. The Democrats did that to us. They're just not good. But now that and Tim Walz, he said he's not going to run for re-election for a third term as governor. There are Democrats and others who are saying he should really resign now as governor and step down so that they can put Amy Klobuchar in there, right, who's a Democrat senator from Minnesota, and she'd like to be governor because she's not good at being a senator, so she'd like to move on to not being good at being a governor. And this is how the Democrat Party works. And they put Amy Klobuchar in there, and then the governor, you see, because now Amy Klobuchar has left her Senate seat to go to the governor's mansion in Minnesota. The fix is in. And then the governor appoints the replacement senator, and she can appoint Tim Walz as the next senator from Minnesota because they're not enough of a laughingstock, Minnesota, at this point. Just extraordinary stuff. They want to become more of a and it used to be Minnesota Nice, and that should have Minnesota Nice with a question mark should be the bumper sticker now. Please be patient. Illegal alien driving. Let's go to some audio, Michael, because we got a lot going on. Tim Walz, he is still at the moment the governor of Minnesota. He was their pick to be vice president of the United States, a heartbeat away from the Oval Office. And this guy, their standards are so low. How low are they? Man, oh man. So here's Tim Walz. And he was ranting and raving, being a weirdo, sounded like he was on drugs. Sound like you're on drugs. And Tim Walz, what am I good at this? What am I supposed to be good at this? What am I, a good soldier? Remember, I was the hero of Iraq. I don't know how to load a 12-gauge shotgun. But I was in the National Guard, and remember he lied that he went to Iraq and served in Iraq and all that ridiculous stuff. J.D. Vance was a Marine, actually did go to Iraq, but never mind that. When you're a Democrat, none of that matters because the media's got your back. The propaganda apparatus of the left is without boundary. All right, here's Tim Walz yesterday. I think this was self-disparagement of some kind.
Have I been perfect in this? God dang no. I wasn't perfect as a teacher. I wasn't perfect as a coach. I wasn't perfect as a soldier, but I was pretty damn good at all those things.
No, you weren't. I bet he was a terrible teacher. What else was he? He was a teacher. He was a soldier. Oh, coach. He was. Oh, that's right. He was a joke of a coach too, wasn't he? I think that we learned that already, didn't we? And God dang. That's a little Minnesota. That was a little slice of old-fashioned Minnesota when Minnesota Nice was really the order of the day. He was a teacher. He was a coach. He was God dang good at it. You could just say dang, if you're going to use dang anyway. But there it is, dang. Yeah, he was dang good at it. Teacher, coach, soldier. Pretty dang good.
Have I been perfect in this? God dang no.
God dang no. Sure. Low IQ theater. It's the Democrat Party. They're quite something. But he's still the governor for the next 11 months. And it got weird here. Get the children out of the room because Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. He's a Democrat. And first he's got God dang. And then this one, where does this come from? I couldn't help but think of Jeffrey Epstein.
Expect for the next 11 months for me to ride you like you've never been ridden. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen?
I'm sorry, you're going to do what? You're going to
Expect me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
Expect me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
Expect me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
But who is he talking about? The people of Minnesota? What is he? Expect me to, for the next 11 months, rawhide. The next 11 months going to be kind of rough in Minnesota, boys and girls. I'm sorry to have to report. And I hear a Democrat adult say that, and I just think, keep the children away from them, because you know how they are. Ride you like what? Like you've never been ridden. Man, oh man. The Democrat Party
Expect me to ride you like you've never been ridden.
In 2026. They are unwell. They're very, very unwell. And the reporters are sitting there nodding and pretending to write something on a notepad. He's going to ride us like I've never been ridden. Sure. And God dang, I was a teacher and a coach and a soldier and remember I was Rambo. I was in Iraq. Isn't that amazing? Man, I am telling you. Now, this was all discovered, of course, because of a 23-year-old journalist, who showed up with his phone. His name is Nick Shirley. And Nick Shirley, you know, he's not being paid millions of dollars like the reporters at 60 Minutes who drive around in the back of limousines in Manhattan and go to their penthouse apartments and fly on the private corporate jet. No, here's a 23-year-old guy who, takes the subway, and he's probably got a Prius or something, and he just amazing. But here's a congressman, Congressman William Timmons. William Timmons is a Republican, and he's talking about everything that we've seen in Minnesota. And there are a couple of reporters in Minneapolis that have reported on this. And, of course, there were whistleblowers that went to the governor and to other government officials in Minnesota, like their communist, racist, lunatic, leftist, radical attorney general, who was a member of the House of Representatives, and he's absolutely horrible, Keith Ellison. And he's in the middle of this up to his eyeballs. In fact, we have audio of him today because he's meeting with the Somalis who are promising him money. And he's Ugala Bugla, I'm with Mohammed Farah Aidid. Which tribe are you with? Democrat Party, third worlding of America. Let's, you invite Somalis in, but you got a few Somalis here, a few Somalis there. The Democrats have built a death camp in a Somali Mohammed Farah Aidid style warlord death camp in Minnesota, and they're looking to expand on it because that's who they are. But here is Congressman William Timmons, a Republican who is he's on the Oversight Committee, and he's like, well, why is it that we didn't hear this? Because everybody's hearing now in Congress and everywhere else. They're having a hearing on it today in the House of Representatives. Democrats will try to sabotage it because they're like Mohammed Farah Aidid fans and not fans of the United States of America. Here's Congressman Timmons.
What's a circus is the fact that Governor Walz knew 5-6 years ago that this fraud was occurring. There's a whistleblower complaint. The allegation then was $100 million a year. Fast forward to 2026, $9 billion has been fraudulently taken. There's going to be hundreds of indictments. People are going to be held accountable, but this was very avoidable. At the end of the day, the governor's responsible, and that's why he's not running for re-election.
Hundreds of indictments coming, the congressman says, a hearing on Capitol Hill in the House today. If the Democrats were in charge of Congress, there would be no hearings. There would be no looking into this. They would be looking to steal money for themselves because that's what Democrats do. And that's it's what Venezuelan commies do. It's what Cuban commies do. It's what commies do, and it's what Democrats do. What's a circus is that what's absolutely going on. Took a 23-year-old in Minnesota with a camera in a phone to reveal all this. And where's the New York Times on this? Not present. Now, Nick Shirley, the young man who made the video that, and again, this kind of had been exposed in Minneapolis, but if 60 Minutes found out about it, or the New York Times found out about it, or CNN found out about it, they buried it in a shallow grave with a stolen shovel, because they wanted to make sure it didn't get out. But Nick Shirley is 23 years old. He should be making millions of dollars a year. He probably will be with his YouTube channel. But Nick Shirley went on a podcast, a video podcast. Riley Gaines, the wonderful Riley Gaines, has a podcast. And the Riley Gaines show, the college swimmer who had to swim against the man who was like 6'8" and all that stuff. Nick Shirley on the Riley Gaines show saying, it doesn't stop here. There's a lot more.
I'll be going to other places. I have part 2 coming out from Minnesota as well. That one's even crazier than the first one. Is that possible?
Yeah, there's a lot of fraudulent businesses in Minnesota, and then all across the country there's other places. I'm not gonna tip anybody off because I don't want to be put a target like I am in Minnesota. But yeah, I'll be going to other states.
But yeah, I'll be going to other states, and good for him. I mean, look, if the guy makes a career out of it and becomes wealthy because he's exposing corruption and crime, then good for him. This is what our news media is supposed to do. This is what our political leaders are supposed to do. But when Democrats find out that billions of our dollars are being plundered by Somali tribes in Minnesota, the Democrats call you a racist for saying it out loud. And again, this is the party of the plantation, the Confederate States of America, the bullwhip, the KKK. This is the If you're black and you think the Democrat Party is your party, you need to buy a clue. Just amazing. Amazing stuff. All right, let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go talk to the nice American people. And if Somalis want to come, I'm here for Somalis too. Don't mistake my words. 888-630-9625. Let's go to Steve, calling from Bowie, Maryland. Steve, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Happy New Year, dude.
Hey, Steve. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, with this fraud in Minnesota, it's pretty eye-opening, but, you reported how this reporter, YouTuber, says he's going to other states.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine. Minnesota's a small state. Just look at California, look at New York, look at all these red states. I believe there's probably a lot of fraud in the in blue states. There's probably fraud in red states too, but the blue states in particular, they thrive on that stuff. Corruption and fraud and stuff. And then on the federal, already know, like with USAID, how much fraud was discovered there and all the different agencies. I just wonder how much of our national debt is, fraud and corruption.
Stolen money.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's half of it,
Well, I've got to tell you, Elon Musk tweeted out that he's looking at maybe $700 billion a year. 10% of the annual national budget may be stolen by way of theft. And he put together Doge, which the Democrats opposed. You remember, Steve, that the Democrats opposed the Department of Government Efficiency because they're the Department of Government kleptocracy and inefficiency. But if we're looking at $700 billion a year, what we're going to discover here in this, just in Minnesota might be the biggest fraud, the biggest theft in the history of the United States. Then we're going to start adding in the Democrats in California and in New York, and Elon Musk specifically cited California and New York for more kleptocracy. And this may be the biggest theft in the history of the United States. Likely it is, actually, Steve. And our news media is once again asleep at the switch.
Yeah, well, they're part of it.
They are. Yeah, the corrupt Democrat Party and their corrupt bunk mates in the news media. It turns out this is actually where monkeypox started. This is where monkeypox, it was the Democrats and the media. Just the biggest scam, the biggest theft. And honestly, we're the United States. It might turn out to be the biggest theft in the history of the world. When it comes to cash, the Socialist Workers' Party in Germany, they stole entire countries and things, so that's tough measure. But when it comes to cash, this may turn out to be the greatest theft of money in the history of humanity because of the Democrat Party. Did you see the Democrats yesterday try to sing God Bless America? It didn't go very well. They don't believe in God or America or blessing. They say, thoughts and prayers after Democrat transgender people murder a room full of people. Thoughts and prayers, and they attack you for saying thoughts and prayers. Something terribly wrong with these people. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Ross calling from Haymarket, Virginia. Ross, you are on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, long-time listener. Always loved everything that you talk about. But you missed a key point when Tampon Timmy was talking about all of his accomplishments.
Uh-huh.
There's always been a curiosity I've had about all his trips to communist China when he was a teacher. I know from my own military experience that I could have never have gone there all those times with a lot of questions. How could he have been a sergeant major if he couldn't get a security clearance for all those trips? Because they asked those questions.
Uh-huh.
Why did he spend so? Is he like Eric Swalwell with his girlfriend Fang Fang?
Right. Who doesn't love Fang Fang? Everybody loves Fang Fang, the honeypot that came and took Eric Swalwell from a city council seat in California to the House of Representatives and the Intelligence Committee. Very successful
also,
Chinese honeypot operation.
Well, and Swalwell's running for governor, and now they're going to do the switcheroo in Minnesota for governors. I think there's a fixes on again for Chinese influence.
Well, I got to tell you, and the Chinese are, President Trump is driving the Chinese out of Venezuela. There was a Chinese communist delegation in Venezuela when Maduro was grabbed by Delta Force, and the Chinese left. They've left, and they're looking around thinking, oh, maybe we can't just casually dig in just south of the United States of America and take over. China gets more than 70% of Venezuela's oil, of their dirty oil. They're not too concerned about global warming in China, though, are they, Russ?
No, they're not. And again, I'm just absolutely flabbergasted that, the whole thing is going on there. Of course, we got our own character with the new governor coming in Virginia with her connections to all these madras schools. Seems like we got a lot of influence in the governorships now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Tim Walz to China. Apparently, about 30 trips to communist China. I was in Hong Kong once. I got some binoculars.